All right. Welcome to the Wellness Tea Podcast, where we discuss the health and wellness of Black women and women of color. I am your host, Amber Majestic, and I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. And I'd like to introduce my guest, health coach Hiller V. Sorry, I missed that. How are you doing today?
Peace. I am feeling
Yes.
amazing,
Good.
feeling elevated, feeling blessed. To give a little bit about myself, I actually am an integrative nutrition health coach as well. We both went to the School of IIN, so brought us together, and I like to define myself as a holistic health coach because health is not just one dimensional. Health
Absolutely.
areas. So when it came to my particular health journey, it actually started on the physical level and then kind of manifested into the, spiritual level. And then it's a whole process, and it truly is a journey. Yes, there is a little bit about me. My name is Victoria, but I go by Health Coach Healer V because not only am I a health coach, but I am a healer. I'm more of a natural person, so I like to do things as natural as possible. Most of the things we need, pretty much everything that we ever need already here, so I like to use what is here and what is natural and what's the most simple way to go about healing and elevating in health and fitness. So
perfect. I love that, which I think is a lot of what we learned at IIN. And I do also myself, as much as possible, use food, nutrition, natural supplements when possible. Because for me, it's actually helped more than like pills, like medication. For me, for a lot of my health elements, it's helped me drastically more than a pill from the pharmacy.
You know what? I love that you said that. You know what really kind of tickles me when it comes to natural medicine and medicine is that a lot of people like to call the more natural medicines, herbs and things of that nature. They like to call it alternative medicine. However, that was here first. So how is it alternative?
Alternative.
Go buy or alternative. So people don't know that a lot of the medications that you get over the counter or at a pharmacy are based off of things that are in nature.
Yeah, they're a synthetic version. Yeah.
Exactly. So for example, like Tylenols and things of that nature, or aspirins, most of them are made of white willow bark. You can go out in nature and get white willow bark, and do yourself, and it doesn't have all the extra additives.
Yeah. Not only that, with the extra additives, something I've learned, some of my listeners know, side note, I do have a bachelor's degree in biology. But what you also notice is the reason why there's a lot of the side effects in the medication is because it's synthetic. When you get it in the natural form, you get less of those side effects because it's natural and meant for your body. And the synthetic things, your body processes synthetic things differently than natural things.
Right. And if we're supposed to heal, I don't want to heal like one portion and then have all the other things that might slide down. Like that's not the point. The point of to heal, not to get worse in another
area.
Provided that wisdom for me with that biology degree.
All right. So the first question I have for you is, what does health mean to you?
Health. I love that word. So health to me, Health Coach Healer V, is having a balance of healthy habits mentally, spiritually, and physically. So, like I mentioned earlier, health is not just one area. It is multidimensional. So for example, physically, you can eat all the kale you want, but if you're having issues mentally, then you're not healthy. You're not in a state of health. So that applies to each area. So for me, balance of those healthy habits in those three areas.
Got it. Okay. I love that. And I think that's important. Like, our bodies need the balance. If one thing's out of order, you're not necessarily healthy, and one affects the other. Like, a lot of times, if you're mentally not well, you don't physically feel well, and it can cause other physical ailments for you. And so that's why it's important, which is hard, but a balance between all of them. You're always going to something's always going to be kind of out of balance, and you're like, every day you're trying to put everything into balance. And then with that, which is kind of the other question, because I always ask, the second question is, what does wellness mean to you? Or is that something you see different than health? or do you see them separately, or two sides to the same coin
Yeah,
for you?
I appreciate that you asked me that because no one has ever asked me that. Kudos to Amber. Kudos to Majestic
Thank
Health.
you.
Love it. We love to hear it.
Yes.
For me, wellness is a little different.
Hmm.
Wellness is a mutualism based relationship with one's own vessel, one's own body.
Okay.
So,
Hmm.
you being able to listen to your body and take action. That you're in a state of being well. You're well off because you're able to um, make distinctions between, okay, what do I just want this, or is this just what my
Hmm.
body wants? Like which one is it? Let me make an action that's going to actually benefit both of us. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So for me,
Hmm.
it's definitely a mutualism type of relationship where both your body and you benefit.
Okay. So for you, wellness is almost like being in tune with your body.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Love
Hmm.
this. I love it that way. It's like a
uh.
smooth state, no fight
Hmm.
or like hesitation when it comes to your body. You're able to just be in a flow.
Well. Okay. I love that. And then in these health and wellness spaces, for yourself, how do you show up for yourself? What does your health and wellness journey kind of look like? Do you do something daily? Like, do you have a ritual for yourself?
Oh, I love
Yes.
that. That's actually not like I'm glad you further went into the question
Mm-hmm.
because that's not how I was gonna answer it.
Oh.
Because like I was gonna balance is how I show up for myself.
Yeah.
No, so when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to health and wellness, I am a big person that is focused on my habits, right? So what I'm
Okay.
doing
Mm-hmm.
habitually. So daily, I'm making sure that I drink tea like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat anything, I make sure that I'm going tea first. I make sure every single day, well, I don't eat anything until noon.
Mm-hmm.
Also make sure that I'm doing yoga and meditation every single day is absolutely
Mm-hmm.
necessary. It's kind of like drinking water or using the bathroom. It's absolutely necessary
Mm-hmm.
for just balance. So tea every day, yoga meditation every day. I
Mm-hmm.
journal pretty
Mm-hmm.
often. So at least 2 times a week at like minimum, absolute minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows me to take what's inside and put it out and see it from a different perspective. So I can
Perspective.
truly understand what's inside, and what's
Mm-hmm.
mine. So those are a lot of the things that I make sure that I do. And then cooking. Cooking is like a big ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm plant based. I've been plant based for maybe 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
now. So putting
Okay.
energy into my food and taking that
Mm-hmm.
to be ritualistic and, put my own intentions into my food is very important. I
Mm-hmm.
pretty much cook like every single day. So
Mm-hmm.
those are pretty much the ways that I show up for myself. I also make sure that I plan time to not do anything, if that makes sense. So
Uh-huh.
to just
Mm-hmm.
sit and be outside, have a toe
Mm-hmm.
grass type of feel, and
Mm-hmm.
just exist. So
Yeah.
being in my divine feminine, I think that's very important to have time to just truly be. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah. I love that. My time to just be is morning. I'm a little more of a morning person,
same.
and I like to take that time. I'm the only morning person kind of in my house, so I take that time in the morning to kind of ground myself,
Right.
drink some tea, sit there, just have some time strictly for myself.
Right.
Um that kind of gets me grounded for the day. I think a lot of that is because I am an introvert, and so giving myself that time in the morning kind of recharge before I start my day and interact with everybody. And then I do love that you mentioned in the way that you mentioned like cooking, using it as an intention for yourself and putting your intentions out there into the world. I think a lot of times, even for me, a lot of the times cooking almost feels like a chore.
Yeah, I
Um
can respect that.
yeah, especially with me like having a family. I'm just not cooking for myself, I'm cooking for other people.
Mm,
And so it's like I need to feed these
yeah,
people, and I need, you know what I mean? Like,
large
so
quantity as well.
yeah. Mhm. And so I love that you mentioned kind of being intentional with your cooking and being present while cooking. I oftentimes think about having that intention around cooking or eating when it's like in community with other people. That's a very intentional thing, but to think about it with while you're cooking, be intentional is a different perspective that I love.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you. I'm glad that you
yes.
mentioned that you're a
Mhm.
person because I'm a rising person.
Mhm.
I am up pretty much every day at 5 a.m. and I go straight to the gym.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I can definitely feel you. A lot of people are not rising people and they're like, no,
Mhm.
I'm not doing that, you know? So I
Mhm.
love that I can, connect with someone who also gets up, early as well.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, are there certain I know you said you're intentional while cooking. Are there certain things you do to keep yourself intentional while cooking or
So for me, to be honest, every day is different. Um,
Mhm.
I am a woman, so emotion is very, very powerful for me.
Mhm.
Depending on what state that
Mhm.
I am in, that will kind of dictate what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the culinary industry as a whole, that's my
Mhm.
okay. I freaking love it. I can talk about it.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes I'll have a cooking show in the background. I'm a Gordon Ramsay fan, a Joe Bastian
Mhm.
fan. So I like having Master Chef, in the background, or Next Level Chef, in the back.
Mhm.
Kind of, I like seeing other people's creativity when
Okay.
cook because it is a creative action, making food. So I'll do that, or I'll have a frequency in the background. So it would
Mhm.
normally be a more the lower chakra frequency, so that root,
Mhm.
that solar plexus chakra energy, and that will kind of allow me to be more grounded while I
Mhm.
am cooking. So that's pretty much what I normally do. I'll speak affirmations into my food, and as I'm
Okay.
cooking. So, for example, if I'm
Mm.
rice, I want to add some bay leaf. I'll say, okay, I'm adding bay leaf for abundance. Ashe, it is.
Mhm.
Kind of like have those affirmations throughout the cooking process, or I'll have music or a cooking show in the background.
I love that. I'm usually like rushing while I'm cooking, so like to hear you like be very intentional and take your time while cooking is great. Um, and then our next question is why do you think health and wellness is essential for our community as Black women?
I love this.
Which is fine. This is why it's the last question.
So when it comes to people of color, our
Mhm.
specific community, I feel that you know somewhere along the line. So no matter where we're from, because a lot of us are originally from America, some of us were brought over from different places.
Mhm.
So altogether, there's been some place along the way where we kind of just lost the
Mhm.
drive for health, or kind of just lost that aspect of it being normal,
Mhm.
right? So you have people who talk about like health nuts and you're
Mhm.
that. Well, it's
Mhm.
like we should be more immersed in health and wellness. The reason why that's important is because of elevation, because
Mhm.
of growth. We're all here to elevate, to grow, to be better with every
Mhm.
time. So if we don't focus on our health, if we don't focus on our vessel and give love to our vessel by being healthy, by becoming more healthy, by being in a state of wellness, well, then we'll never really grow. And that's all we're really here to do is grow,
Mhm.
learn, and elevate. So if we ever want to elevate in any possible area, then we have to make sure that we're right and we're balanced and we're in equilibrium within our health, and
Mhm.
because that's the foundation for everything
Mhm.
else in life.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think that especially those of us from our community that were brought here not by choice, we were enslaved here. I think that that is part of where we kind of lost that taking care of ourselves, health and wellness, because we were not able to.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were not provided that space and time.
Oh,
Our time was not our own
I love.
type of thing. You know what I mean? And then with that, especially for Black women, a lot of the times, including while being enslaved, our families were separated. So they took on this strong role,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone needs to be taken care of before us.
Yeah.
And I think that that has a generational trauma that we're seeing now of putting everyone else before us
Right.
and not taking care of ourselves, because we put everyone else in our lives before us traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love this generation that we're in. We're steering a lot away towards away from kind of that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
but then it's still hard because it's still the generations before us. It's like a lot of times I've heard a lot of people feel like generation before them are now almost seeing this generation as disrespectful because we have our boundaries and we don't care that you're in a sense we don't care that you're an elder. Like my piece is my piece. And that's a boundary. But that's never been a culturally, I think, since coming here, that's never been a boundary for us. You know what I mean? Like that's because it's always been everyone else before us.
Right. And that's very insightful. And I really appreciate you, giving your particular your particular view on that, because when it comes to just being a woman in general as well, you kind of already have that inclination to want to care.
Care? Absolutely.
Being someone literally innate, it's innate. And so when you come from a background where you're forced to do it and it's within you as well, so now you're kind of taking what's within you, and then you have to you're taking what's within you, and then you're connecting it with something that you have to do, and that's a really strong hold. So that's down for generations and generations, and so it really comes down to self-love, caring for yourself.
Absolutely.
Self-love, because if you don't care for yourself, well, then your health is going to decline. And it's like, how can you love yourself if you're not giving your body and yourself what you need?
Absolutely.
So I love that. And with my particular family, I have family that was brought over, but and a lot of my roots that I've traced, we were already here. A lot of us are taught that, everybody was brought over. Everybody was not brought over. We were already here. And it's
some people,
your land and your home is, away from you. And then you're kind of forced to, do certain things. And so I think that I can see that in people as well. Kind of don't feel at home any place, or they may feel maybe more ungrounded and maybe hard around themselves. So I think that literally, like you said earlier, everything is interconnected. And so I think overall it's important to care about your health and wellness, because you'll find out so much about yourself and who were before you by paying attention to your health, because every little body is different. So yeah.
Yes, I love that. And then I was just thinking about, I don't, for you, is this, being so focused on health and wellness and being like a healer, is that something that's more generational for you, or is it like kind of a new thing with you?
Oh, wow. I love that. You asked the best questions ever.
Thank you.
You asked the best questions. And I'm very animated, as you can see. I know this is like
you are fine.
I do this all the time, so let anybody know that. But honestly, I'm gonna give a Libra answer. I'm a Libra sun, and I'm gonna say both. It's both.
Okay.
So my grandmother actually was my first introduction into health. I've always seen my grandmother as healthy. I mean, she's 70 something and she does not look it, and she's like driving big trucks and out there in the doing everything like she like she's in her 20s. So I've always saw her eating healthy. She would always give me, fruits right off the trees in her backyard. We're cracking nuts, peanuts and all types of things. And so she was like that first introduction for me in life. I spent a lot of time with her as far as health. However, as a whole, I feel like all of the health measures weren't there. So I feel like I'm new because the level that I'm stepping into the health is very much different. So I literally am certified now, in holistic. No one else has done that in my family. In the health industry, we're all very creative beings. So we're in more of creative areas. And don't get me wrong, I play guitar, I write music, I sing. I'm a creative as well. But when it comes to health, that's my passion. And that's my purpose, is to, teach people and heal people while I'm here. So it's definitely new for me because I've taken it to a whole nother level.
I love that. Part of the reason why I asked that was because, well, like you, I'm the only one kind of like certified, but I think that a natural form of healing was kind of implanted with me with my mom. As a kid, she probably still has it, and it's probably falling apart, but she used to have this homeopathic health book. And it was soft covered, and I know the cover. I know the last time I saw it, the front and back covers are completely gone. But she's had it forever. But she's always been like kind of doing both. Like, if here's the medication from the doctor, because some of that stuff for me was necessary. Some people know I had open heart surgery as a kid, so there was medication that I had to take.
Bless your heart.
But she would thank you. But so she would, you have to take medication for anti-rejection. So I'm taking Western medicine, but she would also, and where she could give me like holistic medicine, like herbs or fruits, vegetables, and I grew up in a Christian household, so she called it giving me my word medicine. She'd speak life into me.
I love I need to meet this. Look, who is this woman? I need to meet her.
My mother's amazing. And then so part of me was like, it was somewhat implanted in me, and my mom is still very much that way, like looking for natural ways to do things where we can. She actually shares the story of, I think I was like, as a kid, I was congested or something. And as we know, garlic is an antibacterial and will clear out. And so she literally made me eat. I had to be like 4 or 5, and she made me eat a piece of garlic. And she said, and I was like fighting her.
Was it a whole clove?
Like a whole, or like a piece, like a whole clove of garlic, right?
No.
And I was like fighting it, and she like yells at me, swallow it. And as soon as I swallowed it, all the congestion just like came out. I started coughing up like everything.
Wow.
So like I can remember from like I used to get bug bites and stuff, so she would put like raw meat on my bug bites, or pink eye, like she'd put a potato, because the potato will suck out the spuds suck out everything. So I kind of grew up in like a duality of both Western and natural medicine.
Wow.
And so I think, like you, I kind of elevated that from my mom. My mom is nowhere near. She doesn't have a science background. She did hair. She's a cosmetologist growing up, so very different. And I don't know what kind of got her into that, but that's kind of why I was asking. I was wondering, with both of us being like certified health coaches, was there, as we were talking about like the people before us, like if that was kind of in your family before you.
Wow, yeah. That's absolutely
thank you.
Cool. And mm-hmm. I can't really relate to that, because mm-hmm. started my journey. That's when I started more of the holistic healing, mm-hmm. looking for holistic ways of healing. Mm-hmm. I think that the closest that I've been, mm-hmm. or that my mom has been, is basically giving me tea for everything. And that's a big tea person. Like I loose leaf tea. I like making loose leaf tea, and mm-hmm. like putting my own combinations together. So this in mm-hmm. is lavender, it's peppermint, mm-hmm. and then I put some dandelion leaf in here. Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, my mom, literally anything, I don't care what it is, if it's constipation, mm-hmm. if you got a headache, make you some tea. That was kind of get tea, get some tea. Yeah. And it's like mm-hmm. lemons, it's, citrus, mm-hmm. honey. Yeah. Honey is anti-inflammatory,
antibacterial,
and antibacterial as well. So mm-hmm. any fungus infections, anything like that. So I think the closest I have been is like tea.
It's like tea.
Yeah, my grandma would make that too. She'll get you mm-hmm. lemon zinger tea. Make some tea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What does that have to do with
with anything? I actually, like you, I love tea, but no one else in my family drinks tea like I do. So like, I don't know where it came from. My dad and my brother are coffee drinkers. My mom doesn't like coffee or tea, and I don't drink coffee. I like tea, and I don't know who I get it from or where I can't pinpoint a time where I started like really drinking tea a lot, but I do know as I've gotten older, I drink more and more tea.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I have 2 stepdaughters, and they're the only thing they'd be like, Miss Amber just loves tea. They always see me drinking tea.
Same.
Like
same. Literally same. Like tea is, herbs are like the literal foundation for my mm-hmm. you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
The one thing that I can say, because, you know, I do have the word healer in my title, and you mentioned, you know,
Mhm.
some things from your mom. So I think
Mhm.
the biggest thing for me that I have gotten from my mom that kind of has been passed down is just
Mhm.
her specific power to heal. I don't
Mhm.
know if you're familiar, but she basically is able to kind of just feel and see more than the average person.
Empath. Mhm.
So um,
Mhm.
you know, she's just able to see and feel more than the average person. I'll just say that.
Mhm.
And she
Mhm.
was kind of told as a young child that she has healing hands. You know,
Mhm.
so that kind of has passed to me, and literally
Mhm.
everyone that I come in contact with, it's kind of like a natural healing
Mhm.
that already starts. You know,
Yeah.
this natural inclination to just kind of like, you know, be clairaudient and clairsentient and just kind of see,
Mhm.
feel, and hear. Me, it's more hearing than the average person, and I use that as guidance to help me navigate this
Mhm.
life. So
Yeah. I love I think and I definitely think as women we get a lot of these things from our mothers and from my mom. I also get this we have a deep intuition.
mm,
Um which I think is why you mentioned you were like you asked such great questions. None of these questions are on the list. Half these questions I just asked you were not on the list. They just kind of came as we were talking. But I think for me that's part of it for me as a not just the me asking questions for I have this intuition of how to ask the right questions or like when to ask a question.
mm,
Because everything, I think timing for a lot of things is everything. You can suggest something or question something at a wrong time and it can go left.
right,
Because someone has to be, the other person has to be willing to and open to receive.
mm-hmm.
In the same sense as you get that healer aspect, I get more of an intuitiveness from my mother,
Yeah,
definitely.
and
Mhm.
you know, just being a woman in general, you have
Mhm.
your intuition. You
Mhm.
and you know how people say,
Yeah.
I don't know how she knew, but she just knew. You know, or women just,
Uh-huh.
you know, we
Yeah.
have that natural intuition, and I feel like
Uh-huh.
that on top of what your mom, you know, has given you
Mhm.
amplifies it. Um,
Mhm.
I can relate in a way because I, you know, have always been an intuitive person, and I've always been a
Mhm.
people person at that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I said earlier, you're an introvert. As you can probably already tell, I'm very much an extrovert. You know,
Uh-huh.
more about myself and other people by interacting. You know, by
Mhm.
people, by asking questions, by having a simple
Mm.
conversation as we are.
Listen.
So I
Mhm.
definitely can kind of relate to you in that way. You know, of having
Mhm.
nature when it comes to people and knowing when to say certain things,
Some things.
what
Mhm.
needs at a certain time. You know,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Mhm. I love that. I think also which I've had to learn over the years as being an introvert is a lot of times people will think that I'm quiet or and I don't know how many introvert you're around. We don't if we don't feel like we have something important to say, we don't speak. um
And there's power.
and so
I'm working on speaking
yeah,
less.
but I think definitely, but I think people I think when because we live in such a extrovert forward world, I've people take it wrong and it's taken time. Like once people get to know me they're like, oh, that's just how she is. She speaks when needed. As she's around you more, she'll speak more, joke more, but a lot of people like take it as almost as snobbish sometimes.
Mm-mm.
Like if that makes sense, so they're like she just doesn't talk or she doesn't or like they think I don't like them, which is also something I get. My mother's an introvert as well and she gets that too. Like she comes up people until they get to know us, we come off as standoffish.
Mm-mm.
um and so I've had to kind of learn to not necessarily get away from that but find ways to be more social that I'm comfortable with so people don't think that I'm a snob or that I don't like them or
Right.
anything like that.
How do you
Yeah.
think that has affected your relationships? You know, over the course of time.
I think that um it's one of those things once people truly get to know me they genuinely love me but it takes a lot of um like something like this I'm so much better one-on-one. Like if you sit down and have a conversation with me like me, you, maybe one other person, I'm very different than if there's 50 people in a room. I'm like overwhelmed.
I got
I'm like sitting in a corner, like having a conversation at a party with one other person standing next to me, type
yeah.
of person. So I think that it is like oftentimes it's like a first impression of me,
Mm,
and then once you talk to me, or if you already like if you already know me through, or if you've met me with someone that I know, like my best friend or someone that I'm comfortable with, and they know how to talk or include me in a conversation. But it takes longer, I think, to get to know me if you've met me in a large group of people, especially if I'm in a large group of people I don't know. Like if
got
you met me at a party or
yeah.
something, like
And,
I'm probably in a corner on my phone. Like,
and look, that's respectable. That's
uh-huh.
because when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to settings like that, that's a lot of different
Mm,
energies.
yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different energies, and sometimes
Yeah.
um, it's just better to kind of like section yourself off while you navigate all these different.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think the responses that you get really just show you more of the other person than it does your.
Absolutely.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so everything that we say literally is just a representation of
Presentation.
ourselves. You know, so,
Mm-hmm.
people automatically thinking that you're stuck up or snobbish. That just
Uh-huh.
know some more insecurities with themselves. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
it could be anything. So I think
Absolutely.
that's very
Mm-hmm.
respectable that you know yourself, and that
Uh-huh.
kind of had to just
Yeah.
look a little bit deeper.
Different.
Out
Yeah.
their place.
Yeah.
So thank you
Uh,
for
uh,
sharing.
oh, absolutely. And then what I was going to say is, I think I've shared this before, but I oddly enough come from a house of introverts. My parents are introverts. My brother's an
Mm,
introvert. So I found myself all through school until I got to college, at school and with friends, kind of very extroverted because I lived in such an introverted home. I was always kind of at home and charged.
yeah,
And then I went to college, lived in a dorm, and I was like, what is happening? I'm always tired. I don't want to see anybody. Like, I have roommates all of a sudden,
yeah,
like I have sitting in class with everyone every day, going to the cafe with people every day. It was like I always found myself at some point during the day just like in my room away from my friends,
yeah,
just to like, but I didn't realize that until college because I was never in that setting because my whole house was like introverts, which I also think is pretty rare for like everybody in a household to be introverted.
yeah.
And so it took and I think that's where I truly had to learn how to like navigate, like, okay, when I'm around people, knowing I need that time
Right.
to myself before interaction with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
like for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm naturally an extrovert. Like I can't deny I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to. How
Yeah.
I noticed that the more I get into my journey of health and into my
Mm-hmm.
healing journey and being a
Yeah.
healer, I definitely need more time away. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really notice that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my younger self didn't really notice that, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you said, over time I realized like, hold up.
Yeah.
A second. Like can y'all stay out there? I love
Yeah.
to stay over there. Like I need a second for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of have this weird switch. I am a Libra.
Uh-huh.
I have this weird switch where I'm like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, it's just me time. Especially being a business
Yeah.
owner now, it's like, okay, I need to focus on me. I need to focus on my business. So I
Yeah.
have times where I just kind of like flip the switch and I'm like,
Which, yeah.
turn that
Yeah.
off. I'm ready to be with me.
Yeah.
I can relate to you
Yeah.
in a way. Like I am an extrovert,
Yeah.
but I can flip
Yeah.
a second and be an introvert.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think maybe for you, or maybe I think people who are coaches or healers in general, because you need to, and I would think the same thing for like therapists or anything, like you need that time so that you don't put yourself in like the people you're coaching are sitting on your couch as a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
because you need time to like get into a mode, like before I have coach, I would need time to like mentally process, like get in a zone to coach someone else so that my own thoughts, my like whatever's going on in my day isn't impacting like a session with someone.
Yes, gratitude
Yeah.
for you saying that, Amber. Gratitude
Yeah.
I actually, I'm a medium, so I do
Uh-huh.
oracle cards for other people, and I don't do it when I'm in a particular space. You know what I'm saying? Like, that
Yeah.
I'm grounded and that
Mm-hmm.
I'm solid. I've meditated, I've done yoga. Like, I'm solid before I can even be able to read for you, and pull a message
Yeah.
for you. So I love that you said that, because that's literally how I feel when it comes to that as well. So
Yeah.
definitely.
That is kind of all that I had. Do you have any other questions for me? Any comments or?
Questions? No. Comments? Yeah.
Yes.
You're amazing. I love
Thank you.
what you're doing. I appreciate me
Mm-hmm.
specifically, to be a guest on the podcast. I hope that it was exciting for you. I hope that it's
Definitely.
cool.
Yes.
And I would love to connect, at a later time, and, just work together for something else,
Absolutely.
especially both,
Mm-hmm.
from the IIN spectrum.
Uh-huh.
I
Yes.
appreciated this. I love that you're specifically mentioning people, and women of color,
Mm-hmm.
because we need more attention. We need more
Absolutely.
said on
Mm-hmm.
and on health, so that it can become more normalized. So I definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate your platform.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me for the Wellness Tea podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.